Bet. It's a short mitzvah. Here, this little one.
Okay.
Mitzvat shvitat haaretz b'shnat hashmita. That the land should rest at the 7th year, Shemitah. לבטל עבודת הארץ בשנה השביעית, שנאמר בחריש ובקציר תשבות. That's a pasuk from our parsha. בחריש ובקציר תשבות in the 7th year. So it's a mitzvat aseh, shvita, not to do anything.
Interesting, yeah. Mitzvah aseh not to.
Uva hapirush,
Like Shabbat.
And the interpretation was בחריש ובקציר תשבות. Then the Masorah says that it's referring to Shemitah. Okay? All right? שנצטווינו שלא לעסוק בכלל בעבודת הארץ. That we're commanded not to do any work in the land. ונכבלה המצווה בזה באומו במקום אחר. And the mitzvah, this positive commandment was repeated in a different place in Vayikra, the end of Sefer Vayikra, in Parshat Bahar. Shnat Shabbaton al haaretz, and also over there, V'shavta haaretz Shabbat laHashem, and that the land should rest. Now it's interesting because there the verse is V'shavta haaretz, the land should rest. Here it says Becharish uVekatzir tishbot. It refers to the human being. You should. וכבר כתבתי כל עניינה משלם למעלה בסדר עם כסף תלווה במצוות והשביעית תשמטנה ותשתה. שבא לצוות על הפקר פירות שנה זו לכל. He says, I wrote already about Shemitah in Parshat Mishpatim, where the pasuk said, Hashvi'it tishmatena untashta, that you should leave the 7th year, and there it was, he interpreted that it becomes about, that it talks about doing a hefker to the fruit. Meaning, I explained a lot about this commandment over there, even though the real location should have been over here. Now, if we want, we could flip over to over there a little bit, though I don't want to focus on it because I want to focus on the Minchat Chinuch. It has a very interesting discussion davka here.
Pei Daled.
So, if we look in Pei Daled, as you say, in Parshat Mishpatim, yeah.
That doesn't look right. I'm sorry, that's page Pei Daled.
No, not page Pei Daled, mitzvah Pei Daled, and that will be page Shin Lamed Zayin. Shin Lamed Zayin. So, mitzvat shmitat karkaot, he says, lehafkir kol ma shetotzi haaretz, to be mafkir all the things. Okay. Mishorshi HaMitzvah, I think that's what he meant, the explanation, the reason for the mitzvah. לקבוע בליבנו לצייר ציור חזק בעניין חידוש העולם. Yeah, it's to remind us who's the creator. Just like the Shabbos. So, and therefore God commanded us to be mafkir, aside from just doing a rest there, which is our mitzvah, so that the person will remember that the land that is putting out the fruit, it's not the land, it's really God. And he adds more reasons, and then he says, Midine ha-mitzvah, ma'an advarim avudot ha'aretz shalom b'chiyuv shvita zo min haTorah. Here, even though this is not its place, as he said, he mentions it, things from the works of the land that we must rest from, like Zuriyas Miratzir, Shem Asugya, okay, etc. And then he says here, V'noheget bezcharim unekevot, you see. And here there'll be a need for an explanation of the Nashim. And here you see he is asking, ולכאורה יש לומר, הרב מחבר, יש להבין, the הרב מחבר כתב דנוהג בזכרים ונקבות. And if we say that the mitzvah rasa is on the person, that he's mechuyav to be mafkir, the fruit, that's the
For this
אם
mitzvah.
כן, why are the nashim chayev? It's a mitzvah dasa shazman garama. It says maybe we need to לדחות דאין זה זמן גרמה, ופירות שביעים לעולת הם בקדושתם. Even in the rest of the years, meaning the fruits are always holy. The fruits of the shvit are holy at any time.
Mm-hmm. What?
So yes.
How does that? I mean, it's holy only during the 7th year.
No, it's holy. A fruit that is is defined as a fruit of a 7th year is holy every year. That's the point.
I see. It achieves its status in the 7th year, but it is always.
So that's one is his solutions, but let's see what he says here, because here he'll discuss it too. So let's flip back to Shin Tzaditet.
Also,
so here, Shin Tzaditet is a commandment about, not about the fruit. Shin Tzaditet is to be shovet from working in the land. And here he has a very famous and lamdish piece, and not that long. We can start it and finish it. So let's go. Chiyuvo, you see it's over here. That's true. He says the Sefer HaChinuch wrote some of the laws already in Mishpatim. In Parshat Bahar, and he said, and I'll elaborate on it in the commandment that is in the end of Sefer Vayikra. But at any rate, I'll say something. That's a classic opening of Menchel Chinuch. V'nei adinim, and behold, the dinim are in the Rambam Hilchos Shmita v'Yovel. V'avoda b'shvit yesh ba'aseh v'lo taseh, v'yesh avodot she'enam b'lo taseh rak be'aseh. Okay? All right? Avoda in Shvit has an aseh and lo taseh. And there's some that don't have a lo taseh, only an aseh, like Harisha. V'charishu v'katzir tishbot. Right? So in Bahar, we have the negative commandment. Tzadcha lo tizra, karmecha lo tizmor, et inveni zerecha lo tivtzor, ואת צפיח צריכה לא תקצור. So you have קצירה, בצירה, זריע and zemira. These are negative commandments. And they also are included, of course, in the positive commandment of tishbot. However, when it says here, becharish uvekatzir tishbot, it's not said lo tachrosh. So we understand that the harisha is only in an aseh of shvita. You should not.
It's not included in the lo taseh.
So he says, ויש עבודות שאינם בלא זה רק בעשה, כגון חרישה בשביעית היא רק עשה. עיין מאוד קטן, דזריע בצירה היא בלאו ועשה, וחרישה רק עשה. And Barambam Bashar Melech. Fine. Now he has an innovation. Yeah, here is his big innovation. Not innovation, I would say formulation. Not all Achronim agree with it, as we'll see. V'da, דשביעית בעניין אחד חמורה משבס ויום טוב. We have an analogy to this. We actually even dedicated one of our Menchat Chinuch Shirim last year, I think, to that, or at least mentioned it. The Aseh of Shabbaton in Shabbos. And the relationships between the Lav in Shabbos and the Aseh of Shvita on Shabbos. And here he says in Shvius regarding a certain issue is more stringent than Shabbos and Yom Tov. How come? Shabbos v'Yom Tov ika isur ala oseh melacha be'atzmo. The isur is referring that this isur aseh of shvita is referring to the agent himself, to the person that does it by himself. Ava al yidei goy. Let's say I tell a goy to light to create fire. Let's say I tell a goy to create fire. That will be only a rabbinic isur. Who rak shvut. Okay? So with a goy, it's only shvut in Shabbos.
Because it's on the action.
Because it's on the person, you mean.
Sure, yeah.
Now.
Whereas if it's on the land, then no matter how it's done.
But here, look, I gave an example with lighting fire. I'm talking first about Shabbos, then we'll get. So regarding Shabbos, it's very clear that you are supposed to be shovet from malacha on Shabbos, and it's also a positive commandment to be shovet from malacha on Shabbos. But if you violated this, i.e., you let someone do a job for you, So you didn't violate. That's exactly what he's saying. You were commanded to refrain from the job. If you tell a goy to do for you a job, you didn't violate neither midiraita, neither the aseh nor the lo taseh. That's Shabbos. Ach b'Shabbat yesh aseh de be'emtot tzricha lishbot. Here I'll give you an analogy where you have an aseh that is not only about the person and is on Shabbos. If my animal does a malacha, I am violating an aseh. Okay? All right? L'man yanuach shorcha v'chamorcha. V'im mash'il o maskir be'emto legoy. So let's say I give a goy is borrowing from me my animal and works with it on Shabbos. So even if he does it for himself, so there's no problem with Amira L'gnachri, but there's a problem that my behema is doing a malacha on Shabbos, and I let the goy do the malacha, so over mishum shvitat behemto be'aseh. Yeah, that's a violation of an aseh. The gazar hakatuv the behemto asura b'malacha. V'chen lebeit Shammai, yeah, in Gemara and Shabbos Yitched Amud Aleph, it's a machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai hold that there is a thing that is called shvitas kelim. If my vessel does, a certain machine of mine is doing during Shabbat the malacha, let's say I turned it on Friday.
And it continues working.
It continues working. So according to Beit Hillel, it's not a problem. According to Beit Shammai, it is just like my animal cannot do a job. I'm violating an aseh. The same here regarding Ach Sh'ar Malachot. But then he makes the distinction. But the rest of the Malachot, like Kegon, Harisha Uzriya, Over im Oseh Batzmo, Aval Al Yedei Goy, Eino Oiver Klau. Okay? Harisha and Zriya, only if he does it on his own. But if a goy does it to him, yeah, he didn't violate the aseh. Uveshmita. So all of this regarding Shabbos. Remember, he promised that Shemitah is more stringent. It's more stringent, more strict than Shabbos. Now he's gonna explain why it's more strict. Because whereas on Shabbos, if the malacha is done for me by a goy,
you're right. That's not a problem.
You're right. Shvita im oseh avodat haaretz kegon shechoresh sadeu o zorea o kotzer al de goy. I just tell a goy to plow my land. Yeah. Nei de'alot aser shelo avodat haaretz eino. So he indeed, just like on Shabbos, the negative commandments. Let's say I told a goy to lizra. How do you say? Plant. I told the guy to plant in my land on Shemitah. I didn't violate the negative commandment. You should not plant your field. So by a goy, again, it's on the person. So by a goy, just like Shabbos, it's only a rabbinic issur. However, he says, as opposed to Shabbos, ba'aseh, in the aseh of shvitat karka of shvius, over bekol avodat karka afilu al yedei acherim. If I tell a goy to plant my land, to plow my land, I violated an aseh d'oraita as far as Shemitah is concerned. Because what I was commanded was not in the positive commandment as opposed to the negative commandment said don't plow, don't plant, don't harvest. However, the positive commandment said, according to him, Shavta haaretz, meaning you should take care that the land will not work.
So it's not even about the Amirah. If let's say you see somebody doing it and you don't stop them.
That's true too. If you're the owner of the land, yeah. So and the problem is not only not the Amirah, the problem is that you are responsible that there won't be work in your land. Shvita. You should take care that your land will be shovet, not that you will be shovet. It's different than Shabbos. Okay? So Shnat Shabbaton Yeh La'aretz. He learns it from Shnat Shabbato niya la'aretz, v'shavta ha'aretz. Dafka our pasuk is not that it's v'charish v'gatzir tishbot, but since he thinks it's the same mitzvah as v'shavta ha'aretz, so
Could
he
use that as
counted
a
it
proof.
here. Yeah. Mevoar de gazar katuv. So he says it's clear from these verses that God decreed that ha'aretz tishbot. וכמו שמצווים על שביתת בהמה ושביתת כלים בשבת, כן מוזרים על שביתת הארץ בשמיטה. Very nice. That's why he made the build up here. It wasn't, he knew what he was doing. He wanted to introduce you to the concept of in Shabbos of shvitat behemto, and according to Beit Shammai, shvitas kelim. And he says the same concept of shvitas kelim and shvitat behemto on Shabbos is shvitat karka and shviyat. It's the same idea. Just like there you are responsible that your animal won't do a malacha. Here you are responsible that the land no malachas will be done over the land.
But didn't we say it was stricter for Shemitah?
Yes, it is stricter because regarding the person. Here, meaning he said clearly, he said that the Isurei Malacha, as he said, let's say, Achshar Malacha on Charisha Uzriya, it's stricter regarding the Goy.
Okay,
You
right,
understand?
sure.
Now, Ken Muzarim al Shvita Bamaskir, and then he says, Moshe Muzal Shvita B'Yishrei, Ken Muzarim al Shvita Lars B'Shvita. V'Hamaskir L'Goy L'Yisrael Hasadeh, over Hamaskir Mishum Shvita Tzadehu. If you are renting your land to a Goy, then you are violating the Oraita. That's his big svara. And it's a big nakamina regarding goy. You understand? Regarding goy, or cook, all this. So Menchas Chinuch says it's an asa deraita. V'imki advarim b'atzmam nechonim. Kavei shvitat behema de Shabbat. Damar neina damuzar shvitat mehemto b'shvit. Amar alav v'ari sadeh da damuzar shvitat sadeh b'shvit. Meforish din zevein cholek. So he says in the Gemara it's very clear what I'm saying. Ayin Rashi sham dekatav shnat Shabbatot. Ken kol hadinim de shvitat behemdo noagim gabe shvitat sadehu b'shmita. V'imacher osem malacha b'sadehu over. Okay. Over. So anyone who does a malacha in your field, you have a problem, Goy or Jew. She says, oh, I have here such an innovation that Amir al-Nochri and Nochri's work, and that if someone else does it, that I am actually directly over a ba'aseh. He says, and I didn't see it in the Rambam. But he says, yeah, I didn't see it in the Rambam. Okay.
Feels pretty confident.
Yeah, he's very confident, and as we'll see, not everyone agrees with him, but he is very confident in his chiluk. V'nei harav mechaber katav leil parshat mishpat dinei mitzvah. Yeah, he says the Sefer HaChinuch wrote the details over there where we look. וכתב שהוא קשר אחד עם מעשה דשם. אחר כך כתב דנוהג מסחרים ונקבוס. אם כן עשה זה גם כן נוהג מסחרים ונקבוס. Yeah, we said. So he says probably just as there he claimed that it's noheg, but that women are commanded, so women are commanded here too. ובעבדות שוברים בלא תעשה גם כן, כמו זריע דעת הרב מחמד במצווה ראשון צדיזין, כל אחד יש שלב, גם כן, מוזרות אנשים אף על העשה. אף במצצה שהזמן גורמה, אין שם לעניין יום טוב. אוקיי? בדעתו שפות קידוש שנברדו אינו כן. ומבא כמה פעמים בחיבור זה. Yeah, we learned it too. This opinion of Sefer HaChinuch, that if you have a positive commandment that has a negative commandment attached to it, just like on Shabbos, so it's extrapolated from Shabbos to other cases, like Shemitah,
and she would still be obligated.
That mitzvah, that since the women are warned from the lot aseh, they will also be included in the aseh. Okay? And he says that Tosfos disagree. They say it's local. Zachor v'shamor b'dibur echad nemru Haninashi Oil Vitinu Beshamor Itinu Bezachor.
That's for Shabbat.
Yeah, but you don't extrapolate from that to all cases where there is a lo taseh, that everywhere there is a lav, so they're also warned about the aseh. Rather, the Tosfot, the Bar Chamaka says they're warned over the lav, but they're not warned over the aseh. ומובא כמה פעמים בחיבור זה, על כל פנים הניחה לדעת הרב מחבר, לנשים גם כן מזרות. At any rate, he says the author, Sefer HaChinuch, is consistent. Then he says, Ach b'charisha, if this is the reason of the Sefer HaChinuch, that since there is a negative commandment, so whenever there is a negative commandment, they're also included in the positive commandment, and Tosfos disagrees. So he says, that will imply that regarding charisha, plowing, since there was no lo taseh,
for that one,
and there is
even
only a set, so for that one, even it should be that women are exempt. So he says, "Ach b'charisha, deino rak aseh v'avli mitzvat aseh shazman garama, im ken yu nashim peturot mitzvah zo." So it implies that they should be bad. But he says, but the Sefer HaChinuch doesn't make any distinctions. And then the Rambam also, I don't see any exemption for women. Okay? Or I wrote regarding Shvitat Behemto, Alpi Dever Ritva, Alku Shvitat Tosot Sham, Divorn Chiloto, Shikshu Lamali Bemila Oto Velota. In Mila, we have a special pasuk to say why women are patur from the obligation to circumcise their kids. Okay? And what is their exemption? It says, Oto velo ota. Dein anashim mitzuvot al milat b'neim. So typically, the Avli mitzvah is a shazman grama, they're not good rak bayom. But they're asked, I don't need the special limud that women are exempt.
It's already.
Mila is a mitzvah as a shazman grama. Because it's only on the day. The klal zeh, the mitzvah zeh shazman gram anashim turot eino ala b'mitzvah the begufo. K'gon tefillin, tzitzis, v'chadomer. Aval mitzvah mila she'ena begufo, meaning she just has to take care that her son will be circumcised. Eina b'klal zeh, since it's not a commandment to her, she is not included, and therefore gam nashim. That's why in Mila they needed a special exemption. They couldn't rely on the general rule of mitzvah as a shazmar. And gabe shvitat behemto, the Ritva says, shvitat behemto, the gam keneina mitzvah begufo. Yeah, in shvitat behemto, I take care that my behema is resting. Okay. So he gives a new svara, a novel svara. So here again, now he sees an entire chabura after he established previously that the nature of this aseh is not on the person, but that the person is commandment to take care that his land will rest.
So therefore,
so it's like
wouldn't apply to that.
He says mitzvah shazmar will not apply to that. Exactly. Yeah. Says the Tosfos that disagrees with the Ritva. Yeah. So Nashim will be exempt. Mitzvah zol divrei mechaber leil inan v'ged el b'zman shayu vel naheg u'vayt sheni rabban rabbanan. Yimtzra kol yivor parshat bahar v'asur b'avodah shloshim yom kodem shvi'it tosefet v'davka b'zman hamikdash v'hi halacha l'moshe v'zman shemikdash mutar b'charisha ad Rosh Hashanah. But however, we don't plant ilanot even when Beit Hamikdash doesn't exist. Only till 44 days prior to Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because it will be grow on Shvit. Gamash katav Rambam lasem yudin b'charish u'b'katzir tzarech iyun I'm very tired of it.
Huh.
So,
Long week.
okay, right. So, anything with ad mandal yom, yes, so that it won't start growing. So it will start only if you before 44 years before,
Days.
then it will be accepted before Rosh Hashanah.
So we don't plant between them?
Yeah. וגם מה שכתב הרמב"ם דעשה מן בחריש ובקציר צריך עיון. Yeah, okay, that's a different thing. So we read the general innovation chiddush of the Minchat Chinuch and its implication regarding the chiyuv of nashim.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll see some interesting elaborations on it. Yeah. So the Lota says he makes a clear distinction. The Lota says a chiyuv gavra, whereas the Asa is a chovat chefza of the land that you have to take. The owner has to take care. Won't be done. Enough kamina for a goy. So he sees that also in a different mitzvah. The Minchat Chinuch says, let's say a person does actions before the beginning of the Shvit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now he says, very nice. If you planted before Shvit and it was absorbed only in Shvit, then again you violated an Isur D'Oraita. So he has two nafkaminos here. The goy, just like Shvitat Kalim of Beit Shammai, you turn on the machine before Shabbos, but the machine works on Shabbos. So he says the same thing here. If the land works because of an action you did.
Okay.
The fact that the land...
But that's something that has a lot of implications, right? I mean, theoretically, the land is always doing things based on your actions.
So here's the chiluk. The chiluk is he won't require you, the Minchat Chinuch will concede, that you don't need to uproot all your plants before Shvi'it, even though they're going to work. But that's because you didn't do any action that will directly cause the Shvi to work. It's already there. But if I'm planting 5 days before Shemitah, clearly my action directly caused the land not to work, not to rest on Shvit, so that's a violation. Okay? So that is the Minchat Chinuch here offers two nafkaminot. Okay? Goy.
And planting a little bit before.
Yeah. Here, Rav Shmuel Shimoni very nicely quotes a Rav Sadia Gaon that says pretty much what the Minchat Chinuch says. That's very neat, that he was mechaven to Gaonim. He makes the Karaites say that Lo Tavaru Esh B'chol Moshe Seichem B'Yom HaShabbos. As you know, the Karaites means that you can't leave lights on. So he says, and he says they prove their point from Shemitah, just like you're not allowed to plant before Shemitah at the end of the 6th year, so that you can't light before Shabbos, so that that's the analogy the Karaites did. And he says, and I dikdakti gam b'zeh, I analyzed this, looked into this, and I said that the Shvita b'Shmita kshura ba'adama velo ba'adam. Look at his definition. I found that whereas the Shvita and Shmita has to do with the land and not the person, therefore he prohibited to work right before Shemitah. But Shvita and Shabbos is ba'adam velo ba'esh. It's not that they won't be fire, just that you can't light fire. Okay? So he makes a very, very nice, he says exactly what the Chinuch is saying. Okay? Now he says not everyone agreed with the Sefer HaChinuch, the Minchat Chinuch. Let's read the Rambam. Mitzvat asel yishbot ma'avodat ha'aretz v'avodat ha'ilan. Ma'avodat ha'aretz Shabbat la'Hashem v'charish v'katzir tishbot. Okay, so it's all lishbot. Kol ha'osem melacha ma'avodah ha'ilonot b'shana zo bitel mitzvat aseh ve'avar lo ta'aseh. So that the simple wording is that it's a commandment on the person. Okay? And he says the Chazon Ish comments on the Rambam. Mevar shein aseh shvita ala ba'alim ela ala aretz over baseh avalu ha'be'alim. So he says the Aretz should be resting from Jews working in it. So the owner has nothing to do with it. According to the Sefer HaChinuch, the owner of the land is responsible, that's the commandment, that the land will rest. And according to Rambam, just whether in the land of the owner or in different land, a Jew should not work in the land, and it's both a lotas and an aseh.
There's enough community in that.
Yeah, the Chazon Ish asked, according to the Menchat Chinuch, why shouldn't you uproot all the that? But I think we answered it. And the continuation of growing of an existing plant is not a violation of this. Then Rav Kook, he disagreed with the Sefer Minchat Chinuch too. And here you see it's, now you see how it's halacha l'maaseh. Soon we'll see a third nafkamina, by the way. But we said now goy and working close to the. But Rav Kook, the issue of goy was very critical because with the heter mechira,
we needed
the question if also with the goy. At any rate, he says when goyim are working on the land, there is no bittul shvita. And he says, and he says it's Klal Yisrael, it's not the Bailam, as he says. Mitzvah Klalit.
That's what we said also from the
from the one. Yeah. Now he another two discussions. I said one more, so two more. Rabbi Asher Weiss deals with a question about, let's say I live in a house with other people, like, here in remote, many have private houses, but if you go to Tzundak and you go to Eshkoli and you go, they're all apartment buildings, okay? Mm-hmm. So in apartment buildings, and there are Jews there that are not Shomer Mitzvos, and the Vada Bait is renting a certain Ganan that will work in the Shvid.
Right.
Now I have a portion there, of course. I mean, I'm part of the ownership of the front yard. Yeah. So let's say I'm not paying for that portion, but it's still my land, okay? Because in my land, a work is done. Again, he's not my shaliach, not nothing, and I'm not even paying. Let's say everyone agreed that since I'm from, I won't pay this year for the portion of paying to the Ganan, but tachlis, a job is done on my land. So some wrote that according to the Menchat Chinuch, he has to be mafkir his portion in the Gina. Rav Weiss said that he doesn't think that it's valid, this hafkara. It's like fun, and he was leaning to the opinions that there's no isser, even if the ganan is that there's no isser if the ganan, garden keeper, is not hi.
Shalom Arav.
Shalom, shalom.
Arav Zemos Shalom. ארבע כניסות יציאות. אוקיי, 1, 2.
You see, so he was leaning towards the opinion that there's no isser if the ganan, the keeper, is not working by his shlichus, meaning
but it's still isn't the same issue.
According to the Menchat Chinuch, but maybe the Rabbi Asher disagrees here with the Menchat Chinuch. Now let's see, another question is, and that's a very good question, that's the upcoming action over there, Grama and Shvi. Grama, okay? Grama, doing it by Grama. And Rav Tzvi Frank said that even if Grama is mutter midiraita, just like on Shabbos in Yisroel, but there is room to say that this is only regarding the negative commandment. But according to the Menchat Chinuch, what do I care if it's Grama? Just like what do I care if it's Goy?
Right.
Grama will only if the Isser is on the Gavra, on the action, thou shall not plant. Okay, then if I'm not doing an action of planting, a direct action of planting, has an implication. But if the focus is on the result, not on the action, meaning
Then
you
who
should
cares
take care
how?
that the land will not work. What do I care if it worked by grandma? I'm still failed in my obligation to prevent the land from working. So, that will be enough. If I understand the shvita like the Rambam, that is the shvita from an action of a person or shvita of the land. Okay. So here he says, Ramon discusses that a lot, the grama. So here you say it's enough kamina from the Menchatchila. So we have goy, grama, and planting right before Shvit. That's okay. Now about Nashim, we'll say something about Nashim. So he says, first of all, Rav Shimoni said, as opposed to the Menachat Chinuch, that if that actually what he said that Harisha is not including in the lab and not included in the lab, only in the Asa, so Harisha Nashim should be exempt. He says no. If it's the category, once they're shaykh in the category, they're shaykh in all its branches. And also there's a shita that there's no exemption of Nashim from a mitzvah aseh, that it's an isur aseh or shebalt aseh. It's only regarding actions. Then, okay. That's the Ramban. That's the Ramban. Salkadayim kiptir nashim mitzvot asashani mitzvot begufayu. Mitzvot mila. V'lachrini v'yi lo shecha emer techayev. Media to have a beidin shechayav in lamol, just like beidin. All right. Now you'll see how he differs here. So just like there, the parent. Why is there's no chiluk between men and women there? Because again, the focus is not the gavra that is commandment, but the one that you need to take care for. You need to take care for your son to be nimol. Okay, so therefore that lady is not exempt. Mitzvah Asa Shazmar is only an action that she has to do for herself. That's what he says, like lulav. And similarly, he says regarding Shvitat Behemto, commandment is that the behema will rest. Okay, and it's just the owner has to take care for it, and therefore women will be included. So consequently here the same, and that's why women will be chayav. All right? Now, he says, however, says Rav Shimoni, Rav Weiss said the Havana, the way he understands the Ritva, there is a kashya. Because women are exempt from tzitzis, and they're exempt from tzitzis even according to the opinions that the chova is not a chova on the gavra, but a chova to take care that a tzitzis, even in a box, will have arba knafot. So
that's not how we hold, is it?
Right, but even according to that opinion, women are exempt from it because so he says, even though it's a mitzvah on the chetza, so that's against the entire idea of here of the Menchat Chinuch. But he says no, the Ritva, but he has to work with the Ritva. He says no, the Ritva said what he said only regarding the mitzvah, that it's referring to a different person. And the one that is commandment, he is working for him. Just like the chiyuv of Beidin, to take care that someone will be nimol if he doesn't have a father. So here you are mechayev the women also, because the focus of the mitzvah basically it's a commandment on the baby, if you understand the principle, on another person. Chiyuv is referring to him. But a mitzvah that is referring to an object, take care of an object, talis, behema, or land, this is resting on the person, and what your commandment is just to take care that the land will not rest. So it's only when when really the chiyuv has to do with the body of a different person, like Mila, only there they said it. All right. At any rate, we could still justify why Nashim are chayav for the other reasons
Yeah, a whole bunch of
that we
reasons.
said. Okay.
Cool.